But I got to bring in Abe real quick. Abe's producing the show. Abe, you just said to us that one of the best in the business, Todd McShay, is saying what?
He is saying that Philadelphia is not the team that will be selecting Bijan Robinson. And now that opens up a potential for the Falcons to trade back. For those worried about picking that guy, that position at 8, there might be potential for them to drop behind Philly, not fear that Philly at 10 is going to take Bijan Robinson in that 11 to 14 range, a number of teams that might be interested in trading up if a quarterback does fall. Might be a little Bijan in the double-digit range for the Falcons.
Unless it's all a fake. Unless it's I don't know, it's a fugazi, and they're trying to track us into this, Carl. There's all the gamesmanship we've talked about. If Todd McShay's put it out there, you rarely hear him drop something like this in the week leading to the draft.
Do you believe it?
It does check a lot of boxes. They've been non-denial on Bijan Robinson. A lot of guys who cover them, like Ross Tucker, said he didn't think that would be. He said that was a 5-1 shot when he talked to us a few weeks back.
It doesn't fit their profile. Yeah. That's what the Eagles have had a tendency. It's like what you talk about with Dimitroff. If you had a profile when he was here, right, and we know Terry's the guy, and we're going to look and see what he does. But you would say his 3rd and 4th round picks on running backs, right, was pretty familiar. Like, that's what he was going to do. He was never going to take a guy in the 1st round. Eagles are very similar. They don't do that kind of thing since Howie Roseman has been there. And they fill in the blanks later in those kind of picks. So that's why a lot of people are saying Howie Roseman would take a running back in the 1st round at 10. It doesn't fit what they do. So if you buy that, great. But now you've got McShay saying basically that the Eagles aren't going to take him. So point is, guys, if we were going to do this, best case scenario, and again, I'm not advocating this. I know a lot of people say, oh, you want to make this happen. No, I'm just telling you, if you believe that we're going to take the best player on the board. But, Mike, I don't do it at 8. I do it at like 13 to 15. So can we get out of this pick and scoot back a little bit and maybe gain a pick or two, and then maybe it becomes more feasible to do that if you wanted to do it and you said, hey, we don't like any of the things that are on the board. By the way, if both corners are gone, it's really going to make a difference for us. If both of those corners are gone by 8, then now it changes things.
And the other thing is, I've always felt, there's 2 ways to skin this cat. If you wanted to trade down and go get an offensive lineman, whether you Paris Johnson or you like Skoronski, who plug immediately at guard, and that really does shore up the center of your offensive line, and then you feel, Carl, you get a Jahmyr Gibbs potentially in that 2nd round, then you go get that stud running back that complements. And again, I'm done saying. We know Algier ran for 1,000 yards, okay? But Gibbs is another. That's a nice change of pace. And technically, guys, we need depth in the running back room. Okay, Patterson is not going to play forever. That's something you need anyway. So I'm just telling you, if you feel that – a lot of guys are really high on Jahmyr Gibbs, but I'm with you. And, Carl, it's funny. Other guys hit us up on the text line. It is truly like the movie Inception. You have planted that thought seed in my noggin about Bijan Robinson like a splinter in my brain. I can't get rid of it. I'm interested in that now.
Here's my thing, and somebody said, well, if you take him, why wouldn't you take a wide receiver? And the difference is I think he's more dynamic than any of these wide receivers that are currently on the board. That's
by the way, it's funny. We talked about this. Is not a great wide receiver draft, and I know it's wonkish, but bear with me. In many of the mock drafts, we could get ourselves some Boutte from LSU, in one of the later rounds, and that maybe is a nice compliment to what we have. So just food for thought. Kayshon Boutte is usually available when we're picking at 110.
Okay, so that's the 5 and the 113 that we have, and that makes more sense to me, Mike. Value. I'm going to stress this all week. I don't have to take a guy at 8 if I can get him later.
Correct.
Okay? If I can get the same amount of talent later, I don't have to pay him as much. That's value. That's when you start striking the right chords, Mike, and all of a sudden now you're adding to your team gets more talented, but yet I'm not overpaying and I haven't reached to go get a guy.
Right.
That's the most important thing.
And then, again, if you are worried about offensive line, like I'm always worried about every year, if you don't go O-line in the 1st round, there are starters available, and we've talked to a number of analysts the last 2 weeks who say you can get that starting guard with the 44th pick if you're so inclined.